Hey guys, welcome back to the Lost Creek Homestead. I want to talk to you guys a little bit today about our eggs that we get from our chickens and ducks. You'll notice that they're sitting out on the counter, they're not in the refrigerator, and there's a reason for that. These eggs have not been washed. Eggs, when they are laid, have a natural coating on them called the bloom, and it is essentially it's an oxygen resistant barrier that's on the eggs. And basically, the way that an egg spoils is through oxygen permeation, where air goes through the shell and starts to basically cause the egg white and the egg yolk to deteriorate inside the egg. And if you don't wash them, they may look a little grimy, and sometimes you get a little bit of dirt or poo or whatever on them. You do have to wash them before you crack them. And obviously, good sanitation is important. We got hand sanitizer here and some wipes, and you always want to make sure that everybody washes their hands thoroughly with soap and warm water after handling the eggs. But the reason we're able to keep them out on the counter for as long as I'd say probably 2 to 3 weeks without a problem is because the eggs are not washed. Now, if the dirt on the eggs bothers you, then you can go ahead and wash them right away as soon as you get them and put them in the refrigerator after that to extend their life. That's why when you go to the grocery store, you see your eggs in the grocery store in the refrigerated section. But in Europe, generally the eggs are not washed, and the eggs in the grocery stores are not refrigerated. So you'll bring them home and you can leave them sitting on the counter. Now, they shouldn't be in direct sunlight, so obviously be aware of that. And they'll last you for a good long time with no problem. Just give them a quick wash under warm water before you crack them in a pan or whatever you want to do with them. And they'll be perfectly fine. Now, that phenomenon of the air permeation through the shell is a great way to test how old your eggs are. If you know from hard boiling or soft boiling eggs, you want to always, generally, you want to store your eggs with the pointy side down with the dull side up, because the dull side of the egg is where that little air pocket resides, right in here. So that's where you want to poke a hole when you go to boil your egg, and it lets some of the air escape rather than the shell cracking. These duck eggs are too big for my little holder here. So as an egg ages, that air pocket that's inside the top of that dull part of the egg, it tends to get larger and larger and larger. And the way you can test this on your eggs is simply by putting them in a glass of water. If the eggs are fresh and that air pocket is really, really tiny, the egg will sink to the bottom of the water, and you can tell pretty well that it's a fresh egg. If it's getting on in age, that egg, you put it in the water and it'll kind of be a little bit more buoyant. It won't drop to the bottom. It won't sink like a stone. And if it's an older egg and that air pocket is bigger, it just acts like a float, and that egg will rise to the top, and it'll sit on the top of that water and kind of float. And that's an egg that I would just get rid of. So a little tidbit of information. So we leave our eggs on the counter just like this. Like I said, they don't last us that long, and we give a bunch away to all our neighbors, and so we never have eggs sitting here for more than a couple of days at most. And that's just the way it is, and it's great. It's easy. You just gotta, mind your sanitation, keep everything clean. So it's not a big deal. It's nice and easy, and eggs are delicious and healthy. You can always tell those natural free-range eggs, those egg yolks, when you crack them in a pan. If you ever crack one in a pan next to a store-bought egg, it'll be a much brighter, almost an orange-colored egg yolk, and you can definitely tell a difference from a caged chicken that's just been fed corn all its life. So let's grab this egg basket, take a walk down to the chicken coop, and see what's going on. We'll be right back. All right, guys. Come on, doggies. Taking a walk down to the chicken coop now. Let them out for the day. Collect some eggs. We'll see what's going on down here. These guys are having fun. Come. You wouldn't know it, but Dobermans make great farm dogs. Hey girls, what's happening? All right. You guys want to come out? Hey there. Now that's OE. She's a Old English game bantam, and she's a little sick. You can see her backside. She's got a little bit of a prolapsed vent, and we've had that checked, but probably not much we can do for it. We're waiting to see if she gets better. If not, we'll have to wait and see how she does. So, all right, duckies, you want to come out too, huh? Well, hello and good morning. Yeah, come on. Oh, don't be shy. We got one going and the other two staying. All right, I'll get out of the way. Come on. Happy duckies. All right, they're happy. Let's go see. So for the duck pen, ducks tend to sleep outside, but we'll put this little dog house in here. It's got a little hay in there, and I don't know if you can see, there's a couple of duck eggs. So, a little hard to reach. We'll just pull these up here. All right, there we go. Not too shabby. Duck eggs obviously are quite a bit bigger than the chicken eggs, so they're easy to tell apart. And at some point soon, do a video on cleaning up the chicken coop. One of the things you definitely want to have around your chicken coop is a big fly trap. Looks like I got to add a little more water to this. It does a great job. Obviously the chickens and the ducks poop a lot, and you know, it attracts a lot of flies, and the flies bother the chickens. So a good quality, large capacity fly trap is great. You can see, I don't know if you can tell, it's kind of gross, but there's a lot of dead flies in there already, and it's just been about 2 weeks since we put this one out. And I don't see too many flies out here in the run, a couple of them, but not too bad. So that's really good for the chickens and the ducks. Chickens do most of their pooping at night when they're roosting. You've got some roosting bars up here and a little ladder that they sit on and climb up. So it does get kind of gross in here, but all of this goes in the compost pile. And man, I tell you what, that's some good stuff right there. But it looks like our broody hen Lulu. Hi Lulu, come on out. Alright, there we go. That's Lulu. Say hi, Lulu. I'm gonna put you outside. Oh yes, yes, yes. She's all mad at me now. Alright, we got one in there. And hey, 3 in there. Not a bad start to the day. A little bit of a myth, or maybe it's just my chickens, about them always laying eggs first thing in the morning. It's not true. I've come down here first thing in the morning. There's never any eggs. It's usually around this time, what is it, about 10:30, that we start seeing eggs, and there'll be more by the end of the day. So I take this basket down and put it around the back just so that it's not sitting out in the sun. We'll leave that over here, and we'll bring those up later on. We'll make sure. So I'll show you guys the feeder setup that I have. I forgot about this. So one of the issues with feeding chickens is obviously having a good supply. And I built an elevated coop. The whole area underneath here is enclosed with hardware cloth. That's this stuff. It's a lot tougher than chicken wire. So nothing gets through here. And you can see the feeder is hanging underneath the coop here. You may say, hey, how do you refill that? Well, that's what the little shovel is for. Inside the coop here, we just push some of the shavings to the side, like so, and it's stuck. Hold on. All right, go figure. After 4 years of having this coop, this door has never gotten stuck at all. I take a video of it, and it looks like it's a little bit jammed, so we may have to adjust that a little bit. I'm not sure if one of the hinges is coming out a little bit down there. Anyway, this is how we access the chicken feeder. This thing holds, I don't know, at least 10 pounds of chicken feed. Easy access through the hole. It's easy for the chickens to get at. The food doesn't get wet when it rains because it's completely underneath the coop like this. And it's been perfect for as long as we've had this setup. So that's kind of how that works. I mean, I kind of designed this coop with lots of ventilation up at the top. When it's real cold or stormy and windy, we can close these up, no problem. But there's still vents up at the top all the way around. And that keeps the chickens out of the wind and out of the rain. There's ventilation all back here as well. And obviously the roof is at an angle. There's an owl decoy up here. Try to discourage some of the hawks. But sometimes, you know, hawks and owls are kind of mortal enemies. Sometimes it seems like it attracts the hawks because they just come up and sit in the trees and stare at the owl. So I don't think it works quite as well as people think it does. Down here, this is the automatic chicken door. So that's what all these wires are. It's got a little solar panel right here. Inside the bin is I think it's a 6-volt battery for it. And there's a motor. And this other wire here, there's a little light sensor that's hanging off the very front underneath the owl there, you can tell. So in the morning, when it senses that its sun is up, the door opens automatically. And same thing at night. After the chickens put themselves away to roost, the door just closes, and it's very, very secure. So that's why the run here, you know, it's just chicken wire, which is not the most secure thing in the world, but it's buried pretty deep, and so it's been fine. We haven't had any problems over here. Oh, there's another one of those carpenter bees. And the way that this door works, so obviously it works completely automatic if you wanted to, but you also get this little magnet. And if you hold the magnet right on the end of the motor here, it closes. It's a metal frame all bolted in, and that's it. So at night this is closed. It's a very secure metal door. And it's worked very, very well the last, 4 years. Never had a problem with it. So you do have to kind of lubricate the hinges a little bit on it. Make sure that there's nothing, not too many pine shavings down in the threshold there. That'll prevent the door from closing properly. But other than that, it really does work extremely well. So so that's the food, that's the water, that's the chicken door. Here's a bucket that's just got a couple of slices in the top, and underneath, oh, they're on the other side. You can kind of see there's some little nipples there that the chickens can kind of peck at, and water comes out. So that's one source of fresh water for them. And this other one, I gotta clean it out today and add fresh water. And then in case any of the chickens are not feeling social, this is kind of a second coop that's attached. Got a couple of little roosting bars in there, a couple of nesting boxes in the back, but generally they don't use this one. So this is just kind of here to help make it easy to let the chickens in and out through the gate here. So that's pretty much it with the chickens. You know, we clean the coop probably, I don't know, once every 3 weeks. You know, you can do kind of a deep bedding where if the bedding gets really gross and has a lot of poo in it, just put a fresh layer on top. You can do that a few times, and then you just, you know, we'll park a wheelbarrow over here and just sweep the whole thing out and clean it out and put in fresh bedding. And that's really all you need to do. Maybe, you know, like I said, 3 weeks, maybe once a month, we'll do that, and that's really all it takes. Put a little bit of fresh hay in the nesting boxes, and you should be good to go. So that's really all there is to it. They're fairly low maintenance. You know, if you go away on vacation, it's generally not a problem. The chickens have, you know, 3-4 days worth of food. They've got easily a week's worth of water, and as long as somebody comes by every couple of days to collect the eggs, you know, it works real well. Same thing with the ducks. You know, we've got a little, you know, whatever it is, $10 Walmart pool. We'll buy a new one every year for $10. Not a big deal, but you know, you just dump that old water out, hose it out, fill it with fresh water every other day or so, and they're very happy. Obviously, we're lucky enough to have a lot of natural runoff from this whole little valley right here. There's actually a C-130 flying overhead. Thank you, guys. There's this little concrete culvert that runs all the way up this valley, and it gathers all the water from this whole little valley every time it rains, and that all drains into our little pond here and keeps it full of fresh water. And duckies love it. They've eaten all of my lily pads and pretty much any other aquatic vegetation that we've tried to get in here. And when the pond gets full, it flows up this little up to this little tube here, little corrugated pipe that goes underneath, comes out inside the duck run, and flows out that side and on down and into the woods back here. So there's fresh water when the pond is real full and it's raining. There's fresh water flowing through the duck run, which is great, and it keeps them happy. And when the pond is real full, it hasn't rained in almost a week now, but when the pond is full and the water is trickling down that culvert, I mean, there's always fresh water running right through that little low area inside the duck run. So that keeps them real happy. And that's pretty much it. You know, we just got to walk around every now and then, make sure that we don't have any predators digging at the fence, which we've had over here. You can see this section, the lower part, is reinforced with some of that hardware cloth, that tougher stuff, because we've had foxes and raccoons and possums, and I mean, you name it. They come by, they try to dig at it a little bit, but we've only lost one duck this year, and a fox dug through, actually tore right through some of the chicken wire, and got one of our ducks. That was about second week of March. So it seems like first, second week of March, at least here in this part of North Georgia, the foxes come out, and I don't know if they've got young ones that they're trying to trying to feed, obviously. But, you know, they go after the ducks, they go after the chickens, they go after the eggs, they go after pretty much everything. So that's a little thing to watch out for and just be aware of. You know, you can set up traps, but foxes are generally pretty wily in terms of avoiding traps. But as long as they're secured at night, it's really nothing to worry about. Hi, Nina. What's going on, doggy? Huh? You sniffing at those pine branches? Where's the other one, huh? Atlas, come here. Come on. There they go. All right, well, that's it for the egg conversation today. If you guys have any questions, post them in the comments, and that's hopefully something that'll encourage you if you're contemplating having backyard chickens. You know, you certainly don't need anything this big and elaborate. We've had as many as 20, 25 hens in this one little coop. And if you're just having 2 or 3 hens, you know, something you can order online or at your local farm supply store, something this big is really more than enough. If it's just in your backyard, this thing is maybe 7 feet long, 4 feet tall, 2 feet wide. I mean, you can fit it pretty much anywhere. Just keep it away from your property lines. I think here your chicken coop is supposed to be at least 10 feet away from a property line, which we've got that in spades. So that's not a problem for us. And like I said, it's not a lot of work. It's a lot of fun. You know, it's a little bit of work to get it all set up, but in terms of the daily maintenance and the work involved with keeping chickens, it's really not a big deal. And there's a lot of swallows flying around. Woo, there they go. Look at them all. They're having fun. They're flying around. They're eating mosquitoes. And that's a beautiful thing out here at Lost Creek. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments. Subscribe to the channel if you want. That'd be great. And like the video if this was helpful. I appreciate it. Take care.